The beautiful mess. Why your imperfections are your greatest strength. I recently had the privilege of sitting down with Jacqueline Mitchell, a woman whose very existence challenges our perfectionist culture. She's not just a thought leader, she's a soul healer whose work is literally transforming how thousands of people approach authenticity and wholeness. What makes Jacqueline extraordinary isn't her flawless expertise, but rather her radical commitment to embracing the messy, complicated parts of being human. In a world obsessed with curated feeds and filtered realities, she's creating a revolution of authenticity that's sending ripples across communities, especially for those who've been told their whole lives that perfection is the only acceptable option. Have you ever looked at someone's Instagram and thought, wow, they really have it all together? Meanwhile, you're at home with unwashed hair, eating cereal for dinner, wondering if you'll ever figure out this thing called life. Don't worry, I've been there too, more times than I care to admit. We're all performing, aren't we? Every day we wake up and put on our armor. We smooth out our edges. We hide the parts of ourselves that feel too messy, too complicated, too human. It's exhausting, this constant vigilance, this perpetual state of sucking in our emotional bellies. But what if I told you that the mess, the beautiful, complicated mess of your life, isn't something to hide? What if those imperfections you're desperately trying to conceal are actually your greatest strength? That's what Jacqueline Mitchell taught me. And it's what I want to share with you today. We live in a world obsessed with perfection, the perfect body, the perfect career, the perfect relationship, the perfect life. And nowhere is this pressure felt more acutely than among Black women, especially high achieving Black women who've been told their whole lives that they need to be twice as good to get half as far. In our conversation, Jacqueline shared something that stopped me in my tracks. Healing begins the moment we stop trying to be perfect and start owning our messy truths. Think about that for a second. Your healing, your growth, your joy, your freedom doesn't start when you finally get it all together. It starts when you embrace the fact that you never will. And that's not just okay. It's beautiful. The Soft Girl Era podcast recently featured Jennifer Randall discussing this very phenomenon among Black professionals. For generations, Black women have been expected to uphold unrealistic standards of resilience. The strong Black woman trope that demands superhuman strength while denying basic humanity. The cost: burnout, depression, anxiety, physical illness, spiritual disconnection, a life half lived behind a mask so convincing that sometimes we forget it's not actually our face. But something revolutionary is happening. These women are transforming their approach to mental wellness by prioritizing culturally competent care, redefining success beyond productivity, and embracing softness as strength. One listener shared, for the first time in my life, I set a boundary at work without apologizing. I said no to a project that would have meant working through another weekend. And you know what? The world didn't end. My boss respected me more, and I got to be present with my family instead of resentful about missing another birthday party. This isn't just about individual well being. Organizations are seeing increased retention when they support holistic health. Industries nationwide are learning that thriving professionally starts with prioritizing wholeness over hustle alone. But embracing imperfection isn't a one time decision, it's a journey, often a messy one, sometimes painfully messy. The kind of messy that makes you want to retreat back into the comfort of your perfectly constructed facade. Jacqueline Mitchell emphasized this second crucial insight. Healing isn't a destination, it's a journey that requires courage to sit with discomfort, revisit old wounds, and shed others' expectations layer by layer. We want the quick fix, don't we? The 30-day transformation, the miracle cure, the one conversation that changes everything. I mean, who doesn't love instant results? We've been conditioned to expect them, to demand them, to feel like failures when we don't achieve them. But real healing doesn't work that way. It's more like tending a garden than flipping a switch. Some days you see growth, other days it feels like nothing's happening beneath the surface. And sometimes that you have to pull up what you planted and start again. There's a certain humility required, an acknowledgement that transformation rarely follows our preferred timeline. The Affirmations for Black Girls podcast explored this beautifully in an episode about hidden seasons. Those periods when Black women professionals feel unseen or overlooked. These times can erode confidence, especially when external validation is withheld from those who don't fit dominant molds. But what if these hidden seasons aren't failures? What if they're preparation? What if they're exactly where the most important growth happens? One high achieving executive shared how being passed over for promotion 3 times nearly broke her spirit until she realized this invisible time was building skills she couldn't have developed in the spotlight. When her moment finally came, she was ready in ways she couldn't have been before. This reframing is powerful. It teaches us to trust the process, even during hidden seasons, and practice radical self validation instead of waiting for outside approval. And as Jacqueline would say, your glow up begins exactly where you stand today. But here's where many of us get stuck. We think healing is a solo journey. We believe the lie that vulnerability is weakness, that asking for help means we've failed. We've internalized the toxic idea that strength means suffering in silence. This brings me to Jacqueline's third insight, perhaps the most important of all. The path toward authentic healing isn't meant to be walked in isolation. We need each other, not just for support, but for reflection, for accountability, for the simple reminder that we're not alone in our struggles. There's something profoundly healing about hearing someone say, "Me too, I've been there. You're not crazy and you're definitely not alone." Spiritual teacher Saad de Simone demonstrated this powerfully after experiencing profound loss. Instead of numbing his pain or pretending everything was fine, he embarked on a literal 500-mile walk dedicated solely to processing grief. Along the way, he used spiritual tools like mindfulness alongside open conversations about pain within supportive communities. For generations, many people, especially men of color, have been taught that showing pain equals weakness. But Sa's journey proves the opposite. Vulnerability shared within safe circles becomes evidence of courage and humanity. The result? A transformed relationship with himself and his family members. Deeper empathy developed through honesty about suffering rather than denial, breaking generational cycles around silence and grief in his community. This is the power of collective healing. When we share our stories and support each other in vulnerability, we create spaces where transformation can happen, not just for individuals, but for entire communities. As Jacqueline Mitchell so beautifully put it, your imperfections aren't barriers, they're bridges connecting you more deeply with yourself and others. I want you to really hear that. The very things you're trying to hide, your struggles, your doubts, your failures, your pain. These are the things that make you relatable. These are the things that make you human. These are the things that allow others to see themselves in you. Your mess is your message. Your scars tell your story. Your imperfections are your superpower. But embracing this truth requires more than intellectual agreement, it requires action. So here's my challenge to you. This week, choose one area where you felt pressure to hide your messiness or pretend things were perfect. Share one honest truth about this area with yourself first, perhaps through journaling. Then consider sharing it safely with someone you trust. It might feel terrifying. That's okay. Growth always happens at the edge of your comfort zone. And as you take this step, remind yourself daily, my imperfections aren't barriers. They're bridges connecting me more deeply with myself and others. Imagine a world where we all stopped performing perfection and started showing up authentically, where we traded our armor for vulnerability, where we saw our scars not as shameful marks to hide, but as evidence of our resilience. That's the world Jacqueline is helping to create. And it's a world we can all contribute to building. One authentic conversation, one vulnerable share, one act of self compassion at a time. So today I'm asking you to join this revolution of authenticity, to become a champion of imperfection, to declare war on the tyranny of the highlight reel. Because the truth is, we don't need more perfect people. We need more whole people, people brave enough to own their stories, all of their stories, people willing to stand in their truth, even when that truth is complicated and messy and doesn't fit neatly into an Instagram square. Your healing matters. Your authenticity matters. Your messy, beautiful, complicated truth matters. And it might just be the exact thing someone else needs to hear to begin their own journey toward wholeness. So let me ask you, what would change if you stopped trying to get it all together and started embracing the beautiful mess that you are? What relationships would deepen? What dreams might finally have room to breathe? What parts of yourself might you finally learn to love? The world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your humanity. It needs your truth. It needs you, all of you. The revolution begins with you, right here, right now, in all your gloriously imperfect humanity. Are you ready?